Okay guys, my name is Judas Phi Gates of Maestros Millonarios, and here we are. In this video, we're going to talk about how to build an unstoppable life. How to build an unstoppable life. Take note and pay attention. Okay, first of all, constant movement. Constant movement. We must live in constant movement. You must become a master of your own energy. Without energy, you don't have nothing at all. So, become obsessed with your own energy. Yes? If we don't become masters of our own energy, we won't be able to do nothing at all. If you want an unstoppable life, you must become extremely energetic. So always think about, how can I have more energy? What do I have to do to have more energy? Okay? Next, create now and optimize later. We have to live in a constant state of creation. Constant state of creation. If you are creating, you are moving forward, okay? So, you have to create all the time and then fix whatever you have to fix. Create now, optimize later. Now, next lesson, very important. Forget about perfection. And this one is extremely hard, especially for me. I always want to do everything perfectly, everything is perfect, but it rarely happens. What I have learned is that the more I execute, the more action I take, the better results that happen. So we have to forget about perfection. Okay, this is very hard, but we have to forget about perfection. We must have a direction, an ideal. We must know exactly where we are heading. But if we don't make it perfect today, it doesn't matter. Okay? Forget about perfection. Forget about perfection. What we want is to focus on what's most important, okay? The priority isn't perfection. That is not the priority. Perfection is not the priority. And also, none of us are perfect. So, if we are not perfect, why should we care about perfection if nobody is perfect? So why? Why this obsession with perfection when nobody is perfect? So we have to accept the fact that we are not perfect. We are flawed. Yes, we are doing our best to become as perfect as we can become, but that is not the priority. Okay, so for example, if you're creating your brand, you're creating your content, and your content has flaws, well, it doesn't matter. The priority is that you are producing the content. We have to focus on what really matters, not on perfection. We have to forget about perfection. Forget about perfection. Now, let's explain deeply why. Why do we have this obsession with perfection? Well, because we want to have success. We want to have quality results. We want to do our best. And this attitude is fine, is a good attitude to have towards everything. But the problem is that we paralyze and we become slower and everything becomes blocked. and we don't do anything at all. So we postpone, we say, well, maybe next week, maybe next month. Next month, I'm going to launch my product. I'm going to make this promotion. Next month, next month, next month, next. It is never today, because we are obsessed with making everything perfect. And guess what? You can always improve. You can always improve whatever you're doing. You have an offer, you have a product, you will always have the opportunity to make it better. You will always have the opportunity to make it better. So what does this mean? Well, perfection never arrives. Perfection never arrives. Perfection never arrives, and perfection will never arrive. So this is very important. We have to forget about perfection. And like I said, this is very hard for me personally, because I am obsessed with making things perfect. But we have to forget about perfection. This is extremely important. I have seen it in myself and in my clients, and it is like, maybe tomorrow, maybe next month, maybe next year. We are afraid of creating content that isn't perfect. We are afraid. We have to understand that our fear of showing imperfection is blocking our success, because what we want is movement. What we want is progress. Progress is the solution. Progress is what we want. What we want is progress, okay? Not perfection. Progress, not perfection. A disciplined mind produces a predictable destiny. A disciplined mind produces a predictable destiny. We have to become more disciplined, okay? So anything, doesn't matter what it is, anything that makes you more disciplined is worth gold. Intelligent repetition forges excellence. Intelligent repetition forges excellence. Okay, so what habits will make you stronger, wiser, richer, smarter? Which habits will make you more powerful? We have to become obsessed with the optimization of our habits. Your habits, your daily habits, create your future. So you have to become obsessed with your habits. You have to know exactly, okay, if I do this and this and this and this, this will be the results that I will get, okay? Extreme clarity in the selection of habits. Next, ideas don't generate wealth until they are systematized. Systems are extremely important. Basically, we have personal systems and business systems. Most people think about business systems. That is okay. But we have to think also about personal systems, okay? If we have to simplify it, personal systems are our habits. Personal systems is basically our habits. When people think about habits, they choose whatever feels right for them and they just stick with it. But what I recommend is working hard daily on choosing better and more powerful habits. So repetition is good. Repetition is key. But we have to focus on the evolution of our habits. We improve the selection of our habits and we naturally arrive faster to the results that we want. Okay? Simplicity is the highest form of sophistication. What does this mean? Personally, I think that complexity is necessary. Complexity is necessary. But what happens? Once you have a good amount of experience, you can simplify things and say, okay, this is what really matters and this is my daily plan. So once you have lots of experience, you can simplify everything and say, okay, this will be my core priority. Okay? So complexity, this is the way I see it. We have moments of complexity where we are experimenting, we are testing things, we experiment, and things become very complex. Then, when the complexity is too much, we simplify and stick to the most fundamental and important activities. So basically it goes like this: complexity, 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 simplicity, 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 complexity, 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 simplicity. Like the movement of the stocks, okay? It has a small dip down and then it goes up again, okay? So this is the way that it should move, okay? Okay, next, the MotWill, the motivation and the will. The MotWill, MotWill, motivation and will, is when we are taking action with high levels of motivation and will. When we have motivation, it is a very strong desire where we say, I want this, I want this, I want this. We build the desire by building up the motivation. And then we have the will. The will is when we pay the price, when we take the action, when we do things. So in this balance of motivation and will, we make things happen, okay? And this is why MotWill transforms intention into tangible results. So if you want to create your own reality, if you want to manifest things, you have to operate on high levels of MotWill, motivation and will. Motivation and will. Destiny is not found, it is built. Destiny is not found, it is built. The hardest thing is to take action. Because when we take action, and going back to the previous lesson that I said, we want to do everything perfectly. We want to do everything perfectly. And because we are obsessed with perfection, we never take action. We never take action. So the most important lesson here of all is we have to learn how to take lots of action and accept the fact that we are imperfect. Okay? So this involves lots of action, accepting the fact that we are making mistakes. And this is what it is. So, one of the talents is becoming very, very, very energetic. You have to become a master of your own energy. That by itself requires a lot, okay? Physical exercise and good eating habits. So we can simplify things this way. First, become a master of your own energy. Then build up your motivation. Then develop and control your willpower, okay? And then use all that energy in imperfect action, which is very hard to comprehend. But if we understand that we have to forget about perfection, then it is all about pushing very hard with our imperfections. You have to push extremely hard and accept your imperfections. You just accept your imperfections. And this will allow you to enter into a state of flow. What will happen? You're going to have lots of results with lots of imperfections. So what is the plan? As time goes on, your brain will be able to make small adjustments, small changes, so that you can reduce all of these other imperfections. So, in time, all the imperfections will naturally reduce. But not in the beginning. Not in the beginning. So, this is very important. Here I am laying it out for you in a very direct way, so that you can begin without feeling blocked, because everybody is feeling blocked. So, there are far too many reasons why we don't take action. Everybody says, take action, take action, take action, but they don't explain why are we blocked and how do we have to approach life to become unstoppable. So, let's repeat the core process. Get your energy right. You must become a very energetic individual. Okay? Become very, 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 very good in terms of energy. Okay? Then become very, 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 very motivated. Build your desire to the maximum. I want this. I want this. I want this. Okay? Build your desire. Build your desire. Okay? Then work on your willpower, on your will. Pay the price. Pay the price. With effort, with money, with everything, time, dedication, commitment. Pay the price. 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 Pay the price, okay? So, energy, motivation, will. And then you execute to the max forgetting about perfection. Forget about perfection. And that's how you become unstoppable, because you don't care about being perfect. Forget about perfection. So, what will happen? First, you're going to build a lot of energy. You're going to become very energetic. Pay attention to the food that you're eating. Pay attention to how much exercise, how much weight you're doing, how many reps per day. Okay? There has to be a progress, a daily progress there. Next, build your desire. Become very conscious. Am I motivated? Yes or not? Am I motivated? Yes or not? And whatever your level of motivation is, drive it up. Increase your motivation. Increase your motivation. Then you have a lot of energy, a lot of motivation. You're ready to take over the world. Okay, now willpower. Will. Pay the price. Pay the price. Do what needs to be done. Pay the price. Pay the price. Pay the price. Control your motivation with your will, because the more that you take action, the less energy that you're going to have. So control the will and the motivation. And then you have to enter into a flow state where you don't care about perfection. You don't care about perfection. You just want high levels of performance. Forget about perfection. In fact, embrace the imperfections. Welcome the imperfections. Because that will make you stronger. Because you're training your mind in a way that you say, I don't care about these mistakes, these interruptions, these noises, whatever. I don't care about the imperfections. I don't care about the imperfections. So you're going to be tested, because when you are completely committed, you will naturally want to perform in the best way possible. But life will naturally place challenges in between, and you're going to be a little bit off. In those moments that you're challenged, you have to say, I accept and embrace all imperfections, interruptions. I accept them. I accept all the challenges, all the interruptions, all the imperfections. I accept them and I embrace them, because it is part of the winning strategy to build an unstoppable life. Okay? So this is very, very, extremely important. So, if you are starting out with your content, with your brand, and you are recording a video, and you have noises, the wind, a dog, anything, any noise that interrupts your content, accept it. It is part of the process. It is part of the content. Because the goal isn't perfection. The goal isn't perfection. Forget about perfection. Forget about perfection. This is all about you sharing your message. And that's what's important. And if somebody consumes your content and said, oh, I didn't like the noise of the wind, I didn't like the sound quality, I didn't, well man, you weren't paying attention to the message. That is not the message. The production is not what matters. The production is not what matters. Okay? What matters is the intention and the quality of the message, not the quality of the production. Okay? Very, very, very important. Next lesson. Universal law rewards exactitude and discipline. Now, when we are talking about daily habits and all of this, basically you must have a daily plan, and you have to feel very well with yourself when you complete that plan. What I recommend is having your own to-do list and place first the most important activities of all. The most important activities, complete them first. So that when you complete that, you say, okay, I have completed my day. Of course, you can have more activities, but do the most important first. Okay? So yes, this is how you build an unstoppable life. Okay. What else? What else? What else? Well, a lot of people are living in fear. So, if we develop courage, courage is a superpower. If you develop higher levels of courage, you will become extremely powerful, because most people don't have courage. So this is very personal. This is very personal, and you have to become very aware. Become very aware of your emotions. For example, a lot of people are not confident enough to ask for higher prices. For example, very few people have the confidence to ask for higher prices. And why is this? Well, we don't believe in ourselves, in our skills. We just don't believe in ourselves. So, a good approach here is to make sure that your habits allow you to feel more confident. We have to choose habits that makes us feel more confident. It can be anything. Doing more phone calls, creating more content, whatever it is, whatever elevates your courage adds points. The core priority here is to reduce the fear and amplify the courage. Okay? Think about it. What can you do daily that will elevate your courage to a new level? What will make you stronger in terms of courage? And do it. and do it often, constantly. Become used to it. It has to become normal. In the beginning, we are weak. In the beginning, we are very, 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 very weak. So, accept the fact that in the beginning, it is going to feel strange. Okay? And just accept the fact that in the beginning, you don't feel strong, you don't feel confident, you don't feel ready. You just don't. So just accept it. You just accept the fact that you don't feel perfect, but do it anyway. And if you choose wisely these habits and repeat them constantly, with the mindset of, okay, my goal is to make this normal. So what we are doing is we are normalizing. We are normalizing what we want to become the new normal. So you have an ideal, you have a direction, you have something that you're building towards. You know that you're not there, but that is where you're heading, okay? So when you have a clear direction and you execute these habits that empower you in terms of courage, confidence, skills, wisdom, as you become stronger, everything becomes more easy. The hardest of the hardest is always the beginning. And that is why most people never begin, because turning the engine on is the hardest of all. This is why most people never begin. This is why most people never begin, because you really need a lot of push and drive, motivation and energy to be able to enter into a flow state and momentum. It is very hard. So, beginning is very hard. Keeping the momentum is also hard, but it is easier if you have a good rhythm. If you have a good rhythm already, it is easier to keep the momentum going, okay? And in life, we are always developing new skills, new talents. We are always learning something new. So, in a way, it is like we are always starting from scratch. So this happens many times. It is like, okay, you're doing something, and then you say, okay, my next level is this. I have to learn these skills. And you're always beginning from zero when you're learning a new skill. So this sense that we are starting from nothing happens multiple times. So because of this, we have to become accustomed to this feeling of starting from nothing, okay? And I think that this is the hardest. The hardest thing is beginning from zero, because you don't have nothing. It isn't very exciting, but the way you approach it, with what attitude you are approaching that situation, is what matters the most. That is why we have to forget about perfection. We have to forget about perfection, because what matters is the attitude, the way that we are doing the effort. The attitude is the most important. So, if you're going hard with your habits, with the correct attitude, and you're empowering yourself, building your courage, this is the way to go. Okay, so let's repeat it. First, work on your energy. Okay? Become a powerful individual inside. You have to be strong in the inside. You have to feel strong. Okay? Feel strong from within. Next, build your motivation, build your desire. What do you truly want? What do you really want? Okay? Build your desire, build your motivation. Become very excited with what you want. Next, exercise your willpower. Use all your will to make that you want a reality. Use all your willpower. And when you're using all your willpower, forget about perfection. Forget about perfection. Then, as time goes on, you will naturally know different ways to reduce the imperfections. So you can optimize later. All the imperfections are going to be naturally reduced as you become more professional in what you're doing. Okay? Forget about perfection. Okay. When we talk about becoming an expert in any talent, what we have to understand is that there is always something new to learn. There is always something new to learn. So we are experts in progress. We are always learning. So as long as you are in a good path and you are becoming more skillful, more wiser, you are on a good path. What mastery is all about is how do you become more skillful faster. So it becomes a matter of speed. The better you are, the faster you are able to become better. The better you are, the faster you are in your ability to become better. So here the core priority is making sure that we are evolving. That is the first priority. Then, if we are able to evolve faster, that is also very important. Of course, the quality of the performance is more important than the speed. But if you have quality performance and speed, that is a super plus, okay? I want you to think about what is your most important priority in your business right now. What is your most important priority and why? Now, are you daily taking the necessary action to make this happen the way that you want? Are you completely focused on this priority? If not, what can you change? What small changes will help you to focus more on this priority? Also, what other competitors in your market are also thinking in a way similar to you? How are they working on that priority? What can you model from them? It could be anything. What can you model from other professionals that are paying attention to the same priorities? Okay? As we become more professionals, we become more productive. Now we have the power of artificial intelligence, and we have to be able to use all of the tools that we can. I want you to think, how can I become more productive? How can I become more productive? What tools am I not using that I should be using? What professionals can I hire to become more productive? Okay? You can always become more productive. Always. There is an exercise that I recommend, is that you can always perform at 10% more from your present effort. You can always elevate your effort at 10% at all times. In all times, you can always improve your performance by 10%. So if you understand this, you can always do better. Always. You can be more vigilant, more aware, more strong, more focused. You can always improve your performance at least by 10%. What is the challenge? You have to remember. You have to remember that you can perform at 10% more, okay? So if you are serious, you will apply this more often. The more often you apply this, the more professional you will become, okay? Mastery is about becoming extremely strong and not only think about the repetition of habits, but the evolution of habits. There is always a better way to do things. There is always a better way to do things. Let's think about quality, the quality of your actions. Like I said, forget about perfection. Forget about perfection, but you have to think about gradually improving the quality of what you're doing. So even though we don't want to be perfect in daily actions because we are naturally imperfect, we have to have a strategy, a long-term strategy to make sure that the quality of what we are doing improves. So there has to be a quality strategy. If the quality of what we're doing always improves, we're fine. We're doing things right. Okay? It doesn't matter if it is slow in the beginning. If you can go faster, that's fine. But what matters is that every day the quality slowly but surely gets better. Okay? As long as it is getting a little better every day, we are doing things fine. Okay? Attention. How much time are you focusing your attention on doing what matters? How much time are you distracted, and how much time are you really in the zone? What can you do? What can you do to become more focused? It can be something very simple. What small changes you can do right now to become more focused on what truly matters long term, not today, long term. Okay? Next, imagine that you feel stronger and more confident. What would you do differently if you really had 3 times more energy, 3 times more confidence? What would you do differently, and how can you make it a habit? First, imagine that you are 3 times stronger, more professional, more energetic, more driven, more serious. First, imagine that you are more strong. And then ask yourself, what would I do with all that energy, with all that drive? Would I sell more? Would I promote more? Would I execute more? habits, whatever it is, what would you do? And then, how can you create a system, a personal system, or a selection of habits that you can apply daily? How can you normalize that? How can you normalize that? Being aware that in the beginning you won't have the skills. But remember, what really matters is the attitude. Okay? In the beginning, you know that you suck, but you say to yourself, I suck, but I'm doing the work. I suck, but I'm doing the work. And if you're doing it with high levels of motivation and willpower, and you're doing it in a way that you don't care about perfection, that's when you become unstoppable, okay? So I hope you're starting to understand this philosophy to become unstoppable. This is all about perfecting ourselves and prioritizing intense action over perfection. We have to prioritize intense action over perfection. Okay? So, today we have been talking about how to build an unstoppable life. Constant movement. Create now and optimize later. Forget about perfection. A disciplined mind produces a predictable destiny. Intelligent repetition forges excellence. Ideas don't generate wealth until they are systematized. Simplicity is the highest form of sophistication. MotWill, motivation and will, transforms intention into tangible results. Destiny is not found, it is built. Universal law rewards exactitude and discipline. All of these concepts and lessons will allow you to take more action, and you don't care about perfection. You care about taking more action. The more action you take, the better you will become, the more skillful you will become, okay? This is all about producing more. That's what it is. The more you produce, the better you will become. Produce, 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 produce. Become very, 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 very energetic, driven, okay? And you channel all that energy in a way that you produce more with imperfections, but as time goes on, you clean all the imperfections, you become smarter, you learn, and you say, okay, these are my current imperfections. How can I solve them? But you do it in a relaxed manner. You solve all these imperfections in a very relaxed way. because the priority is you doing the work with imperfections. That will allow you to produce and produce and produce and produce without blockages, because most people are blocked. So yes, most people are blocked because they are obsessed with perfection, and perfection never arrives, so they never get things done. Evolution path. What is your evolution path? If you keep doing what you're doing, imagine that you are 10 times more efficient, more professional in what you're doing. How would that reality be different from your current reality? Think about what details would be different in a reality that you are 10x more professional. What would be different? Once you know the answer, think about it and say, is this something that I can apply today? Is this something that I can do right now? How can I bring that future to the present? How can I make that reality in the present moment? Even though I might not have the resources, the skills, but what is possible now? What can you do now? What will you do now to make that reality closer? Okay? It can be a very small thing, but as long as you get closer, that's fine. That's what we want. Okay, my name is Judas Phi Gates, Phi Gates, of Maestros Millonarios. You can activate the sales speed mentorships so that we can go deep. And what I basically do is help people build their own brand faster. If you have any question, you can contact me. And yes, today we have been explaining how to build an unstoppable life. And it is all about energy, motivation, willpower, and forgetting about perfection. I think that's the most important thing. And yes, I think that the hardest thing is dealing with the current imperfections. I think that is the hardest of all. So whatever challenges and imperfections you have nowadays, just reflect on it and say, okay, these are my current limitations. These are my current limitations. I'm having these interruptions, these skills I don't have yet. all those things that you don't have, solve them in a very relaxed manner. Because if you become obsessed, then you become blocked. So we have to deal with our imperfections, but in a relaxed manner. That's what it is. We have to execute without caring about being perfect. And all of the imperfections, we slowly but surely create a strategy long term to make sure that we reduce these imperfections. Okay guys, this is Judas Phi Gates of Maestros Millonarios. See you next time. Bye bye.